Okay, so just say welcome to the session this morning. So this one is part of the digital forum that we run, and today we're specifically looking at providers who are making that move to digital, and particularly smaller providers who perhaps don't have IT services and so on internally. So just to move on to the next slide. So just a little bit of housekeeping here. So if you can keep yourself on mute when you're not talking, that's really helpful for us to cut out sort of background noise and obviously better for the recording. You can use the chat function to type any questions. You can see that on the toolbar there, or you can just put up your hand and ask a question. We're very, very happy for you to do that, and the more interactive, the better. As usual, we tend to run these events fairly casually, so do feel free to ask any questions that you would like to. And as I say, you can have your camera on or off. It's always lovely to see people because it just helps us a little bit to kind of, understand how you're, receptive to things that we're kind of talking about, and if it poses any questions. So just a really brief agenda. And again, these are not strict timings. As I say, it's quite a casual kind of setup. So I'm just going to run through a bit of the background, and then I'm going to pass over very briefly to Alex, who probably lots of you have met before. He's been to a lot of the events that we run, and he's the strategic commissioning lead for Dorset Integrated Care System. So all the money that's available, Alex is your man. So he's going to come here and talk today about the sort of funding stream that's there. Then I'm really pleased to welcome David as well from Stratfield Lodge. So David has recently adopted a digital social care records within their setting. It's a small LD home. So he's going to talk to us about how they kind of went about that process, how they implemented it, spoke to kind of service users, staff, and how they brought with them on board. And then I'm pleased to be joined by Mark Sutton, who's the Chief Digital Officer at CQC, and he's going to be talking to us a bit about the regulators kind of perspective there as well. So I've just stopped sharing my slides now so I can go back and actually see people, which is always nice. So right, okay, lovely. Thanks for starting the recording, Laura, as well. I've got that bit, great. So obviously, we do appreciate that there is quite a large change to digital recently, and that can take quite a bit of getting used to. So, it is becoming more, digital, and we understand that there is support that you need. So we just want to say to you really is to just please take part as much as you can in any of the forums that we're running. They're absolutely open to everyone, no matter what your IT and digital experience. It's always good to hear from people who are slightly ahead to help providers who might need that kind of support as well to move on. And obviously there's quite a lot on our digital web pages that we've uploaded, and make use of the digital social care website. And always please just get in contact with us if there's other help that you need, whether it be kind of Teams or Excel or that sort of stuff. We can hopefully pull in the appropriate resources to kind of support you with that type of thing. So, and also just to let you know, obviously the digital What Good looks like has just been launched, and that's for local authorities and care providers around what that can kind of look like. And also the digital skills framework has just been launched. Now, the good thing with all this sort of thing is often there is money attached to it. So that's always a good thing, when that comes along, to be able to support you to do that. So on that note, Alex, I'm going to hand over to you as the man with the money, if that's all right.
Thank you very much,
you.
Mel. That's a nice introduction. It's nice to be introduced like that. Hello and welcome, everybody. I'm seeing a few familiar faces, and I'm recognizing some names as well. And I'm seeing people in the call who have already applied for money, and I've seen somebody who has received money. So they can testify to the fact that the numbers that I'll put up on the screen are actually real, and you can, receive that. So it's not just an old made-up fantasy. I'll share my screen. Can everybody see this? Thank you very much.
Yeah.
And I'll quickly run through it because some of you might have seen it before, but it's always nice to do a quick recap. So digital social care records, in essence, electronic care plans, right? So moving away from pen and paper on how you collect data around your residents and putting it in an electronic format for various benefits which you can derive out of it. Ease of access, ease of auditing trails, one single source of truth, speed, familiarity with using smartphones, and then taking that knowledge and introducing it within a care home, because all these systems, or the majority of them, tend to be icon driven in a way pretty similar to the way we use smartphones on an everyday basis. There's 14 systems to choose from. So for a system to be eligible for funding, it has to come from one of the assured suppliers. These are suppliers which meet safety and interoperability standards as specified by the NHS Transformation Directorate. The presentation will be shared, and the term assured suppliers is a clickable link, so you can go on it and you can explore it. And there's also a tool for those of you who are not sure which system shall I use. You can answer a few questions regarding your particular service, and it'll come up with a suggestion on which assured suppliers you should actually look at. But obviously, if there's any information you want on those things, just send me an email and I can arrange a quick call and run you through the systems and give you more details. I can also point to specific resources if somebody wants to review one of the systems. So the meaty stuff, what can be funded? The funding is giving us an incentive to move from paper to digital. So anything that incurs in year one, your introduction, your implementation costs are eligible for funding. So things like license fees, training, a lot of these companies will actually come into your setting and provide either hands-on or virtual training via a dedicated link. Subscription costs for the license fees, the cost of purchasing or renting handheld devices, which can be a substantial part of the package, and for those systems that do not sell the devices but actually rent them out, the subscription cost of renting the devices for year one can be included. Costs in subsequent years can't be included because the intention of this funding is to help you move to digital. It's not given as an ongoing thing. Please be aware, these might change. So we're waiting for new national guidelines. They're trying to, at the national level, to align all ICSs in their funding approach. But if you act now and you submit an application, then I can reasonably argue our case that, when Care Home X applied, these were the rules. When Domiciliary Agency Y applied, these are the rules. And I'll do my best to give you that level of funding. What cannot be funded? Infrastructure costs. So if you want to renew your Wi-Fi and your wiring within the care home, apologies, this is out of the scope of this project. Purchasing Wi-Fi equipment, switches, routers, photocopiers, etc. Again, that's all not funded. And I've received questions about nurse call systems. Unfortunately, these do not form a part of the DSCR system, so they can't be funded. What funding looks like, you can reasonably expect to get up to £4,000 per location. You need to have the data security and protection toolkit in place. So either you're meeting the standards or you're working towards meeting the standards. That is a given. An application cannot be processed until the DSPT is in place. Funding needs to be much funded. So for a total implementation cost of up to £8,000, we can give you £4,000 and you pay the other £4,000. For a total implementation cost of up to £6,000, then £3,000 is the maximum you can receive after this funding. The way we structured it is you procure the system, which meets your requirements, you pay for it, and then you submit your invoices, and we reimburse you based on those invoices. If you're operating across multiple locations, so you're an LD provider having 3 homes, all 3 can apply, and the limit is set individually for each home. Applications cannot be pulled together, and you can match fund either in cash, but also in kind. So we're allowing for the fact that it's going to take you time and resources to transfer your existing care plans from paper to digital. So we're saying that it's going to take you 6 hours at £25 per hour to transfer a care plan. So for every care plan you transfer from paper to digital, your costs go up by £150. These are all included at the total implementation cost, and it's a way to help everyone get as much of a benefit out of this as possible. In addition to DSCRs, there's other digital things happening as well. So there's still some limited funding available for sensors. One care home is in the process of negotiating with their chosen supplier to introduce sensors to help them prevent and detect falls. Another 7 applications are being processed and chased up. There's a hydration pilot, which is beginning next month, and I have 2 participants for that. If there is any interest in, being part of these pilots, do send me an email. I might be able to squeeze a couple more care homes in. It's not a promise, it's a try. And there's a further project which is going to happen around the end of this year with a company that is producing a smart socks solution. These are wearables, a wearable technology which allows you to, in effect, monitor residents from a distance and get really accurate data on their daily patterns of behavior, changes in gait, movement, instability, etc., etc. This is just to let you know of the other things that are happening out there, and I thought it'll be a good chance, since this is being recorded, to share that information. I guess that's about it. I don't want to take up time from David and Mark. If there are any questions, Mel, is there time for me to answer questions now?
Of course, yeah, absolutely.
Okay. If there are any questions, please feel free to fire away. If something comes to mind later on, please email me. Thank you.
Thanks, Alex. Yeah, if there are any questions, do let us know. We can always ask questions as we go through as well to any of the speakers. So just to touch on what Alex has said, I've put a link in the chat, and we will put this out in the email with the slides afterwards as well, the link on our website to all the information about sort of adopting DSCRs, and the application process is there as well. So obviously, do let us know if you would like any support with that. We're very happy to do that. Just to mention as well, part of the reason we've got a case study here with us today is actually, it's much more valuable to hear from another provider who's been through it recently, and can sort of talk you through those steps and the painful points. We're just adopting a CRM system ourselves. So in a similar way, we're just going through those pain points now and talking to other people who might use the same system to try and get that kind of idea. So if there is a system that you're looking at and actually you would like to speak to a provider locally who's already using it, we'd be very happy to put you in contact. Or sometimes it's quite nice if you want to go and visit X care home or domiciliary agency and sort of say, can I just have a look at it? How's it working actually on the floor? Which is, really beneficial. So on that note, I'm going to move on to David. So David, as I say, be very careful whatever you say to us in any of the meetings. I think we picked up in a registered managers network that David had sort of adopted a system, and we were sat a couple of weeks ago and going, right, who should we get to speak? And yeah, so we never forget, basically. We're like elephants. So David, is it okay to hand over to you? Oh, you're on mute. You're doing what I did earlier.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you now, David. Yeah, that's great. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you, Mel, for introduction. Yeah, so we moved to digital system recently. I think it was we start in February, March. What I can tell you about us is we are kind of diverse care home. We have people with learning disability and mental health illness, and also the age of the group of our clients is the youngest is 40, the oldest one is 80. So you were looking for the system which will meet our needs, especially, like I said, we are diverse. We were looking for the system a long time ago, just before COVID, and we found out that the system available on the market didn't meet our needs, and those which could, they were not developed enough in that time. So we postponed that, and then COVID started, and it was, everyone knows how busy the time was. And then Alexander offered the funding, and then we said, yeah, that's its right time for doing that. Also, everything is going electronic now, so we have to move forward. And it was a brilliant move. I can tell you all the steps. So I'll make some notes. So there was a lot of electronic system. We found one, and why we choose the system is that the system can adapt to us rather than we adapt to the system. The cost has, of course, part of our decision making, why we choose the system. Definitely training, which has been offered by that supplier. Also that they've been local. Be honest, we thought if something's gone wrong, they are local, we can just give them a call or pop in, especially if it's coming to devices. The system which we choose devices, we could buy them or we can rent them. So we have to think what will be the best options. To be honest, it will be cheaper to just buy devices, but then you have to think what's wrong if the device is getting broken, or there will be issue with application. Then you don't have that lot of support from the supplier. So you have to think what will be the best options for you in that case. Training, there was how we choose the right supplier. It was we contact people on the Facebook managers group to find out what other people they are using and what is the best system. We chose 2 suppliers and invite them to Stratfield Lodge to show us a demo of the product, and then we choose the right one. We were looking also for system which looks professional and easy to use, especially for the staff who not tech with the gadgets. So, and that one was the best one. Sorry, I just get lost.
All right, take time.
Yeah, so you're looking for the package, really looking for the package, for training, for the support, how everything is going on. When we choose to go ahead with the supplier, we were thinking how the best will be implemented in life. Because you cannot put everything in one place straight away. So for us, it was the best things to do, start from the daily notes and then slowly compare everything. So for example, we start from the 1st of March, the staff start doing the paperwork and daily recording, and then we slowly implemented care plans. Also on the training, they will tell you how to use the system, but then you of course you're gonna find out that it's much more what you can get out from the system. So we slowly implemented everything in the electronic system. So we still operate electronic system and still paperwork, and took us, be honest, about 2 to 3 months till everything was on that system. Especially the system which we choose was we could create documents ourselves, and everything is there. So that's save your time. If you want to do audits or check something, everything is on one hand. For example, if you want full audits, food or nutrition audits, everything is there. You don't have to run through the home and looking for the folders. The same stuff from the feedback staff saying that they save lots of time and there's free time they can spend with residents. Regarding security, the same as that we bought the devices from the supplier. There was option that staff can use their own mobile phones, but then you don't know how the staff can access system outside of the work. And then you have to think about the security. So the system which we have, it's able to track all the devices. For example, staff will be taking the device to home and it's missing. You can quickly log in to find out who was the last person who used that device, and you can track back. So call the members are sorry, can you bring the device back? Never happened again, but that's what you have to think to put into place. As well, staff cannot use the logging outside of the home. They have to have a permission if they want to use a system on the computer. So you are sure that the details of residents, they are not going to be used somewhere outside of your organization. I don't know if anyone have any questions.
I've got a couple of questions, Darren,
yes,
that's all right. And then we got a couple more pop up as well. So just going back to the start, so you told us about your kind of service users. How many service users have you got at Stratfield Lodge?
We have 17 service users.
17, okay. And have you got any IT support within the home, or is it down to you?
No, it was down to me only. I know that Stratolodge is not purpose built, so we had a problem with Wi-Fi
Right.
in the before implementation of electronic system. But because of the age of our residents, they are young and they use tablets, we already have a Wi-Fi settings good around the home. We use additional transporters, power transporters to make connection Wi-Fi stronger around the home, and it's worked well.
Okay. Yeah, it seemed when we had a case study earlier in the year, that seems to be a real blocker, doesn't it? First, particularly the older style sort of buildings as well, to be able to get
Yes.
that. And lovely comment from Anna in the chat there saying, you know, well done, because it is a big achievement. Alex, let's go to you. You've got a question for David.
I think it's ladies first. Kate has her hand up as well, so I'll wait for Kate to ask, and then I'll do my questions.
Just going to say what I can see Anna is thinking, because I can see it written all over her face. She's not a lady. But anyway, just a question. No, you're meant to say that about me. I think you touched on it a bit, David, but I'm just interested to know what the service users and their families thought as you were going through the process.
Okay. As I said, we are special in different care homes, which people with learning disability and mental health. So we don't have a lot of residents with family. I'll be saying that only 4 our residents have a family which they are in the contact with us, and 2 of them they live quite so far. So I'm really sorry, Kate. I cannot provide you with feedback on that.
That's fine. It's just interesting because that's something I commonly hear from other providers, is that sometimes you have to think quite carefully about keeping families on board, so that they also feel enthusiastic about new ways of working. And sometimes the people who use your service, but obviously you've described that they've got probably a bit younger age profile, or some have, so that's probably a little bit different to what I hear from older people's residential homes. Okay,
but I know that system can be great, because family, they can have access to the system from the home, so they can see what's going on with the residents. The system which we use offer that support. I'm not sure how the different system working, but yeah, the family, they can have a real live view on what's happening with the residents.
Absolutely, and that's what I was just wondering, because I was thinking, you know, the way families live all over the place, and obviously COVID kind of taught us, didn't it, that you have to find different ways to connect with people sometimes. So parents in wherever might think, oh, okay, I can now have a more live sort of view of how my son, daughter, whoever. Okay, lovely, thank you.
No problem. The also system is help you to connect with GP. It's called like GP Connect. So you have all the information about your residents already in that system. It's different from System 1, because System 1 lets you to have a more input from that. GP Connect just give you the information about the residents.
Great, thank you. I wonder if I could just bring in perhaps Culliford House here, because you're just putting in your system at the moment, and just in terms of those families, have you had those conversations with them?
We have the conversation. Like I said, that we have a small residents with their family. They were not so much keen or checking the nourish. Sorry, the system.
That's okay. That's all right. Brilliant. Thank you, David. I'm just going to ask the ladies at Culliford House, because they're just a couple of months sort of running behind you in terms of how they might have engaged families in the process.
Yeah, well, I was just saying to Gemma, I haven't, because I'm mainly in the office, I've not really seen any family since we've been started using it, but you said,
we've had the posters up, we've had relatives meetings, so they're fully aware of what's going on, and we have just said to them, you know, we're not on mobile phones, we are using this system, so they're fully aware of what's going on, and they've been kept updated all the way through. So yeah, obviously it's the first proper week this week that we've gone live with it, isn't it? So
going all right so far?
Issues. we realised yesterday, we had the last lot of training, and we realised yesterday that we've sort of gone about it a bit the wrong way, and we were like, oh my God, no, what are we going to do? But we spoke to someone this morning and he told us a way around it. So yeah, we're okay.
Good.
Just
good.
got to backtrack a little bit. Not having to redo the whole thing.
The thing was,
Yeah.
we should have had that training like a couple months ago.
Right.
But they
Okay.
did it
But they
yesterday.
didn't. We had it yesterday, and that was the last training we had. So it was
Oh.
like, well, it's a bit late now.
Yeah. Yeah.
'Cause
Okay.
we
So
sort of staggered through it ourselves up until then.
Yeah.
right. So
Where
I
we
think
did have some we did have some. We had training like on the devices and on putting staff on the system and all that, and putting the residents on the system. But the actual care planning, assessments, and all that, the order in which to do it, wasn't explained to us till yesterday. So it was a
Right.
little bit. We were in
Yeah.
a bit of a panic, but I
yeah.
think it'll
Yeah.
be okay.
Yeah, I think we've
Okay.
saved it.
But most
That's
of the
all-
staff are they've really embraced it, haven't they?
Yeah.
Staff, they love it.
That's brilliant. And that's really good feedback though to give to your supplier as well, and to make other people aware here. So
Yeah.
you can probably tell that I'm going to come to you for a case study in a couple of months' time, aren't you? Once you're up and running, and then you can tell us what the blip was. But that's really,
Yeah.
the benefit of sharing this type of thing is that we all
Yeah.
can kind of, share our experiences as well. Thank you, and sorry for putting you on the spot,
No,
ladies, as
okay.
well.
Okay.
Thank you, Anna.
Yeah, I was going to raise a couple of things actually. Firstly, well done everybody, because it is a massive achievement. I did it a long time ago and Mel had to hold my hand right the way through the process. A couple of things I was going to say. Recently we've had in a fair few homes actually families who were either new or just didn't understand why people were using handhelds and thought their staff were on mobiles. It's really good practice to put signs around the building saying they're not on their phones, they're actually making logs about your family members. The other thing is I've also worked with a home recently where they had a handwritten referral from a care home in Bath, and it was 120 handwritten pages. It would have made so much more sense, and I was talking to Alex about this, if they'd have been on a recorded system, because it would have just transferred straight across and they could have picked out the bits they needed. The other thing is, don't forget, if service users have got capacity and they're able, they can use these themselves. They can put their own comments on there, and that's really important in terms of person-centred work. And my last bit of advice, if it's any help, is when I've done this in other homes, we've gone in at say 1 a.m, raided every single folder, removed them from the entire building so that there could never be two systems running at the same time. And as complicated as it is, actually, if they're not there, people haven't got a choice. And with the right nurturing, it's quite quick to turn it around. That's it from me anyway.
Brilliant. Thank you, Anna. No, there are some really, really good points as well. And there is that concern, isn't there, about adopting new systems and people feel comfortable in what they're kind of working with. So sort of based on Anna's last sort of comment, David, how about the staff? Have they kind of embraced it, as in they have it Colourford House? Oh, you're on mute. You're on mute, David.
Sorry. Yeah, the first month was difficult because everyone was figuring out what we can use, how we can use. So you have to spend a lot of time with the staff to just go through with them and answer all the questions, especially when you have a system where we should record this, when we should record that. So you need to really focus yourself and know the system well to put this on the staff and spend with the time with them and explain. But it's really worth it. It's really worth it.
And if you had to have 3 absolute top tips, what would they be for any other provider considering adopting? Put you on the spot now, sorry.
Okay, that's fine. First of all, it was about the system, how to build the care plan, what you want to have in the care plan. Second thoughts, starting how you want to develop, like we start from daily records, then we will head to the care planning, and then we added everything else. So gradually increase everything to the electronic system. With the staff, check daily what their records are. So make sure that everything is there. So I think the 3 main thing.
That's great. Thank you very much, David. Is there any other questions for David at the moment? No, brilliant. Well, thank you ever so much. I know it's putting you on the spot. Oh no, Alex has got a question.
Alex,
So
yeah.
we'll
There's a few hands up, Mel.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see those.
yeah.
I do apologise. So sorry, Lydia first, I think it was. My apologies. We got Lydia? Okay, well, let's come back to Alex, and then if Lydia is here, we can go back there.
Okay, thank you for this. Thank you very much, David. I mean, most of my questions were answered by were asked by people previously, so I was going to ask how staff felt, etc., etc. And just a final thought. Are you happy you've done this?
Yes, we are very happy, and we cannot fault the system. It must be save the time, and everything is one place. Like I said before, you don't have to run and looking for the folders. You just look in the system and you have everything there. I didn't mention one thing that regarding the security, that probably everyone is aware that we have to do the data protection impact assessment on the toolkit, which is an important part of the moving from the paper to electronic system as well.
And my second question, since you're happy you've done this, did I give you a hard time in claiming the money back?
No, it was easy. It was easy process.
It was easy.
Very easy.
Okay. All right. Thank you for that.
Brilliant. And also it's almost like I planted you, David, because you mentioned about data protection impact assessments. Now, if that phrase absolutely scares you, then don't panic about it, because it's within the support that we can offer under sort of any data security protection toolkit as well. So just as an aside, while you mentioned that, that was really helpful. Okay, so I'm going to go to Rebecca. Oh, is that Lydia? We can hear you now.
Yes, I think my headphones were not working, but I just wanted to say thank you for this platform, and just to ask David and other people about if you have families that are, I mean, we are working with people with learning disabilities in their own homes and in supported places. If the family does not have, they can't even have, they don't have an email, what do you do with regards to things like feedback? I mean, I can imagine, my head is thinking something else, but what would you do? You know, things.
Yes, if they don't have an email, it will be difficult for them to log into the system. But I don't know, it looks like you can print the reports, and if they're local, you can give them like whole reports of the month, what's happened with residents, instead of like taking the daily notes and scanning and copy how much time it will be take you. You just print the reports and you can give them.
Mm-hmm. So I was also thinking about giving, obviously, you know, feedback for them, because we are in communication and talking to them every week, giving them an update. But like, if they have to give us written feedback, we would then have to photocopy or scan and bring it into our system. Is that the best way? Is there any better way? At some point we thought of taking our device to them and letting them write or do something, you know, on the device. But it's like we are there. We can't influence their decisions by just being present. So that's what I was just thinking about. You know, what can we do?
Okay. So you mean when the family give you a feedback, right?
Yeah.
Written
if you want
or
them
verbal? If there's a written feedback, for example, if it's a written feedback, you can scan all the documents and put in the system.
Okay.
So they are easy accessible.
All right, just by scanning, yeah, no, that's okay. Yeah, no, that's okay. And then in terms of security, we went onto a system just now, and we had to hire because from a social work background, I know in social services as a social worker, the systems in Hampshire are very tight, you know, like in terms of anyone just filtering. So we had to hire, you know, like an expert because we were very worried about that. You know, does Alex kind of fund that? Because we really, had to do that because of just worrying about anyone infiltrating or, you know.
Like I said, regarding the security, we have the mobile phones from the supplier, and member of staff, they have to leave them on the premises. And as I said, you can easily track if there's any phone is missing. We have a system that after each shift, the senior staff collect all the phones and put them back in the place. So it's easy to find out if one is missing. And if one is missing, all numbers, all the phones, they have a specific numbers, so you can access in the system which member of staff have that phone, so you can easily track devices. Also, the staff member, they don't have access to the system outside of the premises.
Okay.
So regarding security, I cannot fault anything.
Okay. Yeah. No, that's okay. Thank you very much.
Okay, so Lydia, your question's really about not feedback from family members who are non-digital as well. Is that was the kind of the other side of it. So if any other providers have kind of overcome that, perhaps they could put them in the chat. That would be really helpful. I'm just going to keep us moving. If we go on to Rebecca, your question, Becca.
Hi, it's Sarah. Actually, Rebecca's had to leave the office.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Can I just ask David mainly
Yeah.
about the detail in the records, and are your staff making detailed records on a daily basis? Because our living carers write pages a day. Are you finding that the staff are doing that, or are they reluctant to, or is it a tick box system that you use?
The system is, you can adapt, for example, if you want to write about the personal care in the morning, there's lots of tick boxing, but also give you the option for the staff to fill their own reports as well. The tick boxing, you can adapt as much as you want to that residence. For example, I just give you a silly example, for the female and male residents, for tick boxing, like wet shave given in the morning. You're not gonna tick no for lady every day. You can remove that one, so you can adapt the system as much you want. On beginning, yes, you are right. Staff was using more tick boxing, but and just a couple of sentences regarding the activity which they done with residents. But during the handover, supervision with the staff, it's back as a normal as a paperwork. So you have to work with the staff and remind them that they still need to fill the record correctly.
Okay, that's lovely. Thank you.
Thank you. Kerry?
Hi everyone, thank you. David, this is fantastic. Thank you for all your information. It's really, really helpful. We've kind of had a bit of a false start with a system, and I won't go into all the details, but I think we learned that we hadn't perhaps adapted the system as well as we should have done for our particular needs. And then when we had a pilot, it just didn't do what it needed to do. So we need to go back in, we need to restart, we need to do it properly. We've got our licensing agreement with an existing provider, so we've got that established. But my question, David, really is, are you able to give us an idea of how much sort of project management time you had to invest as the lead for your organisation in driving this forward properly? So all of the work you had to do around making sure that the system was adapted for your use, making sure that your staff were appropriately trained, making sure that your clients, I know you said you don't have a lot of family support, but making sure that that people were invested. I'm trying to get an idea of how much project management input we've got to put into this project to get it right in the first place, so that we don't have another false start.
Okay, Kerry, I said the first couple of months, I used a lot of time to just checking everything and adapt the system to our needs. Exactly how many working hours I didn't calculate, but yeah, the first 2 months, I'll be said maybe 50% of my time I spent to develop, but not every day. But yeah, it takes some time, to be honest, if you want to write it.
Sorry, can I just come back to Alex? I think I know what the answer is. I think this is about the support in kind, but when you did the fantastic list of what we could get funding for, the implementation cost was interesting, because I think I know what you're going to say, but in terms of sort of having to bring in additional project resources to actually oversee, if we haven't got capacity within the organisation that David's brought to his organisation, is there funding to bring in some project management capacity or some IT expertise? Is that the implementation cost, Alex, or are we pushing it there?
The quick answer is no, because that'll be really pushing it. But in terms of the cost of transcribing the care plans over. So we're saying if you have 10 residents, for example, right, and you're going to move 10 paper plans onto digital, this can increase your costs by £1,500. You're not actually going to spend £1,500 doing that, because it's going to be your staff member or somebody within the organization or you in your own time. But that cost can be part of your total costs and eligible for reimbursement. So that's the only way we can do it, because otherwise it wouldn't be able to manage it, administer it, and track it. You know, people would say, oh, I need 3 project managers and 5 project officers to do this, and it becomes pointless. But by using the element of transferring the care plans, that's an indirect way of helping. Does that answer your question?
It does, yeah. Thanks very much, both. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm very conscious we want to get to Mark and Lizzie finally, and then we'll move to Mark. Thank you.
My problem is our Wi-Fi. David is saying he had the same problem to start with. So we are with BT and we've been upgrading our service. It still is not working at least every week, where we have no Wi-Fi for a couple of hours. So the staff are getting quite frustrated about they're not able to do the notes. So I have to say to them, well, write it on the paper and then we can transfer it later. We have lots of booster, every little gadget around the home. We are near you in a very old building. So I just wonder whether there's anything, should we change, but we are in locking a contract with them. I just want any advice around, yeah.
I'm not sure which kind of booster you're using, because we have just ordinary broadband as well, but we use a lot of boosters around the house.
Yeah.
So
we've got about a dozen on each floor in different rooms, different area. It still is not, it's not working. It's supposed to be 5G hybrid. It's all been placed with the BT staff. And when we suggest to them again, they said, oh, you'll have to pay, if you want a visit, you have to pay some more. But we've spent a couple of £1,000 already twice with them. Yeah.
Okay. I think.
Yeah, sorry, Melanie, yeah, sorry.
No, I was just going to say some of the systems obviously allow you to just, as soon as it connects to Wi-Fi, it will then upload the record. So it will hold it locally, as in whatever room. And then when you get back within range, it should then upload it. And there is some helpful comments in the chat as well around sort of people who they've used for communications. But perhaps we can pick that up separately, Lizzie, and have a look at that.
Yeah, that's fine.
So,
yeah.
Lovely. Thank you.
Yeah,
okay,
thank you.
We're going to move on to Mark, and thank you for waiting so patiently, Mark. There was quite a lot of chat around there, and I hope it's been helpful for you to hear back from providers as well. So I'll pass on to you. So Mark Sutton is the Chief Digital Officer at CQC. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Bill. And actually, it's a real luxury for me to spend a bit of time with you and listening to colleagues and listening about their experience about digital, because I'm going to talk now and say how fantastic digital is and how we really encourage providers to adopt all the benefits of not just digital social care records, but all the other wonderful digital innovations that there are. But I also appreciate, and haven't been in technology my whole life, there are challenges that come with that. Wi-Fi, it's got to work, and you've got to have all of your, you've got to be very thoughtful about how you implement this. So it's wonderful to hear some of those examples. I love to hear Anna talk about a midnight raid on paper records. That sounds absolutely wonderful. I'd love to. There's a story there. Anna would love to hear more about that. There's some fabulous stuff going on here, like smart socks. I mean, wow. I mean, that is really exciting. And do you know, we did a podcast with Peter Skinner, who's the overarching program director for digital social care. The digital social care record program, which some of you are benefiting from, and he said something really interesting, which was, he said the NHS has always had the focus, right, and it's something that I'm really passionate about, is that we bring much more of the focus to adult social care, and he was very much of the same opinion. He said, you know what's really fascinating? He said that NHS has been kind of they've had a lot of the investment, a lot of the benefit. But they are currently struggling because a lot of the investment they've had in the past has given them this sort of infrastructure that's ossified around them, and it's actually very hard for them to change and to innovate. Whereas actually there is a great opportunity here within the adult social care environment, almost for adult social care colleagues to leapfrog the innovation that's going on elsewhere, and for actually adult social care to be at the forefront of digital innovation, which I find really exciting. You know, the concept of smart socks. I'm fascinated by Gait, because Gait, as I understand it, is like a fingerprint. Everybody has an entirely different Gait. How exciting is that? That you've got technology that monitors and manages something as seemingly mundane as a Gait. So I just find this absolutely fascinating. It's wonderful to hear all your experiences, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to talk. I am conscious of time, so I've actually got far too many slides to share with you today. So what I'm going to do is going to be quite disciplined to myself, and I'll probably skip a few of these things and try to focus on the things that I think are most relevant for you. But we'll leave a bit of time for questions at the end. So if there are things here that I've skipped over that you want to come back to, then please let me know. And what am I going to do here? I'm just going to probably just give you that overarching message about why do we care about this? What are we interested in from a regulator's perspective, which is we are really interested in providers adopting good practice around data and digital systems, but why? So I'm going to talk a bit about that. I'll reinforce that stance about our support for digital as a regulator, what our approach is around that, what our support is around that, and really kind of a sense of you know, how we as a regulating entity are approaching the digital change and the digital opportunities. And then I'll give you a little bit of so CQC is doing quite a bit to change itself and adopt new digital practices to make life better for providers and easier for providers, and also to be able to provide better services to the public with much more up-to-date ratings, something we refer to as our single assessment framework. And I'm going to give you a little bit of an insight into some of that. I've got a couple of screenshots to show you around the new provider portal, which you're very lucky to see this, I think, if you're interested in it, because actually we haven't really shared this much externally. So you're seeing a bit of an early insight to something that's coming. So whistling through. State of, I guess the core of all of this, if we think about why are we doing all this stuff, is about data. And in our state of care report last year, we talked about the absolute criticality of us having good quality data, and data that covers the whole of the system of care. Because if we can't do that, we can't actually meaningfully begin to address system-wide issues that there. One of the things that I'm really fascinated by, and you'll like this as well, is that there is a central thought process behind getting a good sense of understanding. I mean, part of this is the rationale behind the creation of ICSs, which is if we can see and understand how people experience care across a whole system of care, then we can make really good decisions. And there's a particular part of NHS England which is actually looking at, if we've got really good data across the whole piece, how can we allocate scarce resources? And the interesting thing that I think will come out of that is the idea that we can allocate scarce resources to social care to alleviate some problems across the whole system. And of course, it's not as blunt as saying, you know, we've got delayed discharge issues, and therefore, if you address issue, it's much more nuanced and exciting about it, particularly if we start to apply some of the analytical tools that are readily available now. I think, and pressure on you now, Alex, is now you get access to the data now from an ICS perspective. We've got to come up with the goods, and we've got to live up to this model that we're selling about having access to all of the data allows us to make really good decisions across the whole system. So that's really exciting, and that's why I'm particularly interested in this. That's why we're interested in it. And we are a bit about what we're innovating here. I mentioned about our digital change. We're going to be doing quite a lot, and you'll start to notice a bit of change coming over over the course of next year, we're gently going to be introducing things to with lots of communication. So don't worry if if none of this goes in, because I'm rushing through it. But we are going to be delivering new digital services to really support providers, make it much easier for you to do things like registrations or changing registered manager or registering notifications with us. All those sorts of things will be much easier in the future. And indeed, we will get to a point probably quite soon where your digital social care record system will integrate with another one of the potential benefits of having the digital social care record system is future benefits that you're likely to get through just being able to enter information in one place and then not having to manage a notification because you put it within your digital social care record system. So lots of opportunity now, lots of opportunity in the future as well. But the new provider portal will give you much better access to data. You'll be able to see at a much more transparent level and a lower level, what CQC is saying about you, how do we rate you. There's some information on our website about our new single assessment framework that helps you understand about the new quality statements that we have, which hopefully will be a lot more easy to understand and a lot more transparent, and will also give you the ability to be able to benchmark against other of your peers if you want to look at the comparison of your information against other people. I'm going to flip through this quite quickly because just in the interest of time, but our single assessment framework is really about creating an environment that is much more consistent. So easier for you to understand, easier for you to see the information that we are, the evidence that we're gathering and how we're making decisions. I know consistency is a particular problem that has been leveled against CQC, and this is absolutely something that we're doing to address that, give you evidence around how we're making decisions, and the ability for you to more importantly, I think, see much more clearly what would you need to do to be able to improve, and a mechanism that allows us to revisit providers in a much more timely way, so that when you make improvement, that improvement is then registered much more quickly and reflected in ratings. Bit about the technology there that I'm going to skip. I mentioned about the assessment framework. The assessment framework is essentially a body of quality statements that are based around think local, act personal way of describing quality of care. Obviously, what we're focused on is primarily safety and quality of care, and that framework is pitched around good. And this is the other point I was really keen to land, is our support around digital social care records. We know that as I'm sure you'll do, conversation that you were describing earlier on about the importance of good record keeping. I think someone mentioned earlier on about I think it was Anna, about the transfer of people between providers when you've got 120-page handwritten notes. What a challenge that presents. Opportunity for better transfer with digital social care records, and so many other benefits that we get through that. But really good digital social care records means that we can get the right information to the right people at the right time. And there are so many more benefits that you get through digital social care records in terms of your ability to manage that, your ability to I was speaking to a provider the other day that said they've got a number of locations that they manage. They can at a glance look at all their locations and look at summary information about the care and people in their care, all through a kind of single pane of glass, which is just simply, that sort of thing is simply not possible with paper records. And we're interested in quality and we're interested in safety, and so anything that has a demonstrable impact on those things and helps you improve is something that we're very keen on. We have some guidance which we have on our website, which I think is on another one of these slides, which obviously we'll make available, which talks about our guidance about what good digital social care records look like, both in terms of implementation, both in terms of your use of those things. And let's move on. Yes, so that's I'll just we'll share these slides. So but this will make sense to you because you're all looking at digital social care records and what are the benefits of those. But we know how important they are. I think the question we always get asked is, are we going to mandate digital social care records? And the short answer to that is no. But because of what I talked about earlier on there, I mean, it's not our place to do that sort of thing, and we typically don't mandate specific elements of good practice. But what you will find is that over the course of time, with the innovations going on with people adopting digital social care records, it will be increasingly difficult to maintain a good or outstanding rating without having done this. So it's we're very empathetic to providers. We know how difficult this is. What we would say is, take advantage of the opportunities that are available to you now, the funding, the guidance, the support, the huge opportunities there are for peer learning and peer support right now. Don't leave it too long, because this will, as most people will adopt digital social care records, this will become something that will unfortunately mean that people get left behind if they're not able to take advantage of the opportunity to improve the quality of care for the people that they look after. I'm going to skip that. This is just talking about how our inspectors will, in the future, hopefully be able to support you better in terms of understanding more about your systems. I've definitely seen sort of the early stages of some of our inspectors. There are lots of systems out there. I think there was 14 on the list at the moment. But they're starting to be able to kind of understand more about systems so that you can give people logons, and they can kind of gather that data. In the future, there's an exciting possibility here that you actually might be able to reduce some of the burden and impact of inspections, because you can give access to data within your control on a more frequent basis, moving the conversation on to something a bit more exciting. That's the link to our website. It's not just about digital social care records. I think we're really obviously aware that there's so much, as I mentioned earlier on, going on in innovation in social care. I mean, there's things like, I'm sure you're aware of things like Pain Check, which is an AI mechanism to understand where non-verbal people are, non-verbal service users are in pain, so that you can address that. I mean, there's just absolutely phenomenal, wonderful innovation going on here. We have some innovation roundtables where we get providers to come to us and show us the things that they've been working on, and we're going to be publishing a white paper with some of those examples. Pain Check's one of those, but there's a bunch of other things. We haven't got Smart Socks on there yet, so would love to talk to you more about that, Alex. So I think that sounds like definitely one that should be on the innovation list. I am rapidly running out of time. I promise you a look at the new online portal. So this is something that will be coming out pretty shortly. It's a mechanism via which you much more easily be able to make changes to registration and do notifications and see information about latest ratings, etc. This will just give you an example, the kind of look and feel, very easy to use, very simple, very intuitive, won't require any training. A simple mechanism. It says it's in development, but actually we're actually in our kind of final testing of this at the moment. A much easier way for you to be able to see previous notifications that you've sent in to us, as well as adding new ones and having a conversation with us digitally about those notifications. There we go. And hopefully something you can see here is a lot more typical of a government service. Very easy, very simple, be able to use. Kind of looks a bit like a passport renewal system that's simple for you to use, and a much more ability for you to kind of manage things like notifications in a way with us that's easier for you to manage. A bit of information there about what's happening. We've got some specific final testing and piloting of stuff with a few people at the moment. Over the summer, we're going to start to launch that portal, so people will be able to have a play around with that and see. Hopefully, that will be able to be easier for you to use. And then later on in the year, we're going to start to, in a staged and phased and careful way, gathering feedback as we go, start to carry out some of our assessments in that new way that I described earlier on, which, you know, our engagement with providers and with the public at the moment is something that people are very excited about, keen to see, because it's all about providing a benefit for everybody. And I'll stop there. Sorry for overrunning a little bit. I hope that's okay, but very happy to take any questions if you've got time.
That's absolutely okay. Thank you ever so much, Mark. So I'll just open the floor up. Anna, straight in with a question.
Sorry, it would be me, wouldn't it? Mark, a couple of questions. With ICS working to people and place, and you talking about local and personal, which is obviously, you know, very similar. Are we going to, in terms of providers and the information and stuff we have to provide, are you going to link it in so it does work alongside PAMS, our QA checks and CQC bits? Because otherwise, as you know, we'll be doing, you know, check by check by check by different people. So is it going to be as closely matched to them as we can be to give us less pain in our lives?
I think the intent, I think absolutely. I mean, I think the intent with a lot of this work is to absolutely reduce burden, capture data once and use it many times. It will take us time, I think, as a system of people involved in this to get better at this. So it won't be perfect day one. But I can tell you that there are lots of conversations going on with various aspects of different actors in the system. We work very closely with NHS England, their transformation function. We work very closely with ICSs, and obviously we have our new regulatory function for assessing local authorities and ICSs, which again is something we're doing very much in a collaborative way with those organisations to be able to, and we're thinking very carefully about how, with everything we do, how can we reduce burden, how we can improve data sharing. We are conscious of data security and data security as well. So it's something that we all need to think about and make sure that is at the primary focus as well, because we all hold very sensitive data about people, and that's got to come first. But in short answer, yes, we have that ambition.
The reason I'm saying that is Kate and I have been involved in the LGA reviews, but also for a lot of people on here, they've been involved in the PAMS pilot, which is still 31 questions, you know, depending on what type of provider you are, and they're colossal and the work is huge, and then have to repeat it again and then potentially again. I think we're all feeling a little bit broken, and to hear that, it would be great, but it would be brilliant if that was being worked on now as each thing is rolling out. And I know that's an ideal world, but I know we're all a bit battered at the moment, so I'm just kind of speaking on behalf of all of us.
Yeah, I mean, I can tell you, we're definitely not going to make anything worse, and we are going to. We're very keen to get feedback as well. So there's lots of engagement that we're doing around the things that we roll out, and we are, we've already done some piloting where we've taken some active feedback and we've made changes as we've gone along. So, but keep us honest on that, Anna.
Thank you. Any other questions for Mark at this stage? Not been let off lightly there. Okay.
I probably bombarded everyone with a bit too much information, so I apologise for that.
No, I apologise for, there was a lot of discussion earlier. So I am pleased to say that Mark is going to join us at our digital conference on the 21st September. So he will be there in person, and we'll have a bigger slot, and obviously we'll be a little bit further down the line in terms of the, the single assessment framework as well. So we're really pleased that, you'll be able to join us there. So what we'll do is we'll send out all the information for today, all the slides, contact details, and as I say, if you would like to connect with another provider who is using perhaps a system that you're already looking at, do let us know and we can help kind of facilitate that as well. But finally, just to say thank you to Alex, David and Mark, particularly for your contributions. They're really very much appreciated, and do let us know if you would require any other support. So thanks very much for joining, everyone. See you soon.